Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you. Let's get right on into it. All right, folks, is ESPN brokering a deal that would bring FSU and Clemson to the SEC? And the ACC might not like this very much, but I think ESPN's calling the shots.
I'm going to make them an offer he can't refuse.
Yeah, they may be giving them an offer they can't refuse. And this says an analyst sends an ominous message on ESPN brokering conference realignment from the ACC to the SEC. This is a fella from Huskers Corner, obviously Nebraska. Oliver Vandervoort does not like the writing on the walls, mainly the idea that ESPN will likely be brokering a deal to get FSU and Clemson from the ACC to the SEC. Now remember, ESPN has the broadcasting rights for the ACC and the SEC. So they are the ones that could broker a deal between the conferences. Now the ACC is really they're in a bad spot. They just flat out are. And if both these teams were to leave the conference before June 30th, that creates a big issue where ESPN can renegotiate with the ACC anyway. So what it'd probably be best, I guess, for the ACC is to have ESPN work out some sort of a deal, because it's obvious FSU and Clemson are leaving the ACC no matter what. They're currently suing them in North Carolina, Florida, South Carolina. They're suing all up and down the eastern seaboard, and they want out.
Get me out of here! Here, just eat that! Leave us alone!
That's right. They are not kidding around. And the main reason they want it out of the ACC is that they're at a huge disadvantage financially. Not only are they getting less money by being in the ACC, they're also getting less money from the college football playoff. And here you can see the total money per conference per team. Big Ten, SEC getting way more than the Big 12 and the ACC. And then to make matters worse, they just came out with the college football playoff money distribution. Again, SEC, Big Ten getting the lion's share, ACC and Big 12 getting the scraps. And it's driving FSU and Clemson crazy, and rightfully so, to the tune of tens of millions of dollars every year. So they're just going to fall further and further behind all the SEC and Big Ten schools. You're really seeing college football turn into the two big conferences, or the Power Two. I know it's Power Four, but really it's the Power Two. And realize FSU feels like they're being taken advantage of because they bring in a crap load of money for the ACC, and so does Clemson because they're the big dogs. And they're getting an equal amount as all the small schools, and they don't like that, besides the fact they're falling behind. So I think there's a high likelihood something like this is going to happen. I'm just going to say it's a high probability something's going to happen before the season. I just don't see any way that Clemson and FSU stays long-term at all with the ACC. They may undo this before the season. I think they'll play their conference schedule out, but I think they'll be out of the ACC in fairly short order.
Danger, Will Robinson. Danger. No, Will Robinson. Danger.
And, of course, some of this may have to do with what the judges say, but on the other hand, if ESPN says, you know what, we want this to happen, the ACC might have to go along with it. And I think the SEC would too as well. One very important thing to understand why, if you're thinking, well, FSU ought to go to Big Ten or Clemson should, that's not going to happen. There's no way that's going to happen, and I'm going to tell you exactly why. Neither of those two schools are members of the AAU, and the AAU is the Association of American Universities, leading research universities, etc. And neither Clemson nor FSU are a member of that. And the Big Ten's made a big fuss out of this. As a matter of fact, Nebraska is the only team in the Big Ten that's not a member of the AAU, and there's even talk that they may try to do something about that, which is going to make Nebraska very unhappy. Yeah, if you're a Cornhusker, you need to get that AAU status back. You need to work to get that back, because you don't want to be the only one in the Big Ten that doesn't have that. That's going to make you stand out like a turd in a punch bowl.
I'm Mr. Hanky, the Christmas Pooh. Season's greetings to all of you.
So I would suggest you do that. Now, personally, to me, the AAU is a bunch of folks that think highly of themselves and enjoy the smell of their own farts.
Pardon me, would you have any Grey Poupon?
But of course.
And they definitely use Grey Poupon. I have no doubt of that. But it's a big deal to them. And in their little bubble that they live in those universities, they are incredibly self-important. Oh, I'm sorry. I meant to say that it's incredibly important. Did I say self-important? That was just a slip of the tongue. I'm sorry. Now, the other question is, what about the other teams? Well, I can go ahead and tell you Virginia and North Carolina are members of the AAU, and I would be shocked if the Big Ten didn't scoop them up. First of all, that picks up 2 states for the Big Ten, so that's 2 very nice TV markets for them. And Fox Sports, of course, has their broadcasting rights, and you know they're going to want that. So I would think that's where those 2 will go. Then you've got Miami. I can tell you the Big 12 really wants Miami, but Miami is a member of the AAU. They became a member in 2023. Quite a little coinkydink, don't you think? And so did Notre Dame. Now, Notre Dame's kind of a whole different animal. As you know, they're a little too good to join a conference.
Excuse me.
Yep. They're a conference of their own. They're their own island. But anyway, they are members of the AAU, both of those 2 teams, Miami and Notre Dame. So we'll see. Now, Miami would be a huge pickup for the Big 12. It gets them right into the middle of Florida at a great school that could really bring some panache, I guess that's a right word, panache, to the Big 12. So they'll be fighting for them. But if you're Miami, you want to go either to the Big 12 or SEC. And for some reason, I just feel like they're a better fit in the Big 10. I don't know why. It just feels that way. It's such an international city. So anyway, something's going to give on this. I've been keeping up with this, and there's no way FSU and Clemson are going to be a part of the ACC for very long. You know, we'll see how this plays out, but this is a very unhappy marriage, and these 2 parties need to be apart. And for anybody that thinks Clemson and FSU is going to go anywhere but the SEC, you're crazy. They're going to come to the SEC or the Big 12. They're not going to the Big 10. They don't have the AAU status. And for whatever reason, that's a big deal. So anyway, if you like this type of content and you want to keep up with it, just hit this little button right here. This is the subscribe button right here. It doesn't cost you a dime. Half of you don't hit that button. I don't know why.
Come on. Come on. Oh, okay. Oh, okay, sure.
But right over here is the most recent video YouTube thinks you'll enjoy based on your viewing history. And we'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.